kind of last minute that I went live here. We just finished a show in CREWE, UK, England, and the stage is just getting torn down. And I just thought I'd grab my phone. Normally I would have uploaded like a thumbnail and made a watch page and all that stuff, but today was hectic, sound check and all that, and getting it all going. We just did the show, just a little meet and greet thing, and then I just thought, I'll just grab my phone and go live. So there's probably not going to be anybody there just yet, but this is the crazy old, small but cool little Victorian theater we played tonight. Kind of fun. Old but cool. It sounded really good in here, I must say, and was fun on stage. The only thing about these old theaters, because they're designed for plays, of course, if you look at the stage, it's raked. So it's actually, going in an angle. I don't know what it is, 2-3 degrees, something probably. So the whole time that you're playing, you have to constantly be aware of that, or you'll get forward momentum going and just walk right off the front of the stage, which you don't want to do. I'll pour myself a glass of wine here in a paper cup and just enjoy sitting here and hanging with you guys for a few minutes. So there's a few people in the chat there. Who we got? We got George. We got Samuel. Sorry, my eyes are gonna kind of suck right now. Happy Sunday, everyone, says Leo. Good evening, Pete. Classy, yeah. Yeah, it's fun. These are the kinds of places that we play. I mean, this is a small town. It's CREWE, England. It's close to, we're not far from Manchester. We're not far from Liverpool. So, we hit a lot of places. I don't know how far we are, but we're probably 45 minutes from Manchester or something, or not even. So, and we hit a lot of stops. Yeah, an amazing venue. Hello from, let's see, what does that say? Montecito. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice place. Have you fallen off the stage yet? Not yet. Not yet, luckily. I'm just looking through the comments here. How's the tour going? Tour's going good. I'm healthy again, which is nice. It feels good to not be sick and my health back and stuff, so that's good. Yeah, Joe says was waiting for you to go live. Cool, man. Yeah. Do you play Germany? No, I would love to play Germany, but this thing basically just kind of exists in the UK for now. We haven't even made it over to Dublin yet. I would love to get over there, and it would make sense in Germany, I think. So they've talked about it. But for those just joining, this is the scene, little tear down action going on in this theater that we played tonight. It's a crazy old Victorian theater with all this business. Somebody said there's a fish with it's like a walrus kind of, but it does have a full-on mustache. Oh, that's interesting. At least that's what it looks like. So, anyways, yeah, the old world, old world stuff. It's fun. Love playing these places. There's always people up there, rocking in the balconies and the little, where I guess folks would have had exclusive seats if they had money, the upper class, back 300 years ago. Any difference using 220 volt versus 110? So I use a step-down transformer. And what I do, I kind of detailed this in my last rig rundown, but what I do is I run the step-down transformer into a variac, and then I run the output of the variac. Variac is a big thing that basically you can vary voltage with. And then I run the variac into just to make sure this isn't going to fall here. I run the variac into a power conditioner that has a voltage meter on it so that I could see the output coming out of the variac. And that lets me really dial in the voltage. Because the thing is, in a place like this, I mean, take a look at this place. It's old, and you don't know what the power is going to be like. It could be low. It could be, 240. It could be 248. it could be 252 coming out of the wall and stuff. So then you use the step-down transformer, and that'll translate to being 113 volts or 126. You know, you just never know. So I think amps and gear like to see what they're kind of designed for, and it's just always been a thing that I do when I come over here, and I use a step-down to use a variac to vary the voltage going into a meter so that I can put it right at about 117, 118, no more, no less, generally. You know, and the thing about it is too, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the SL68, which I'm using on this tour, it's already at 90 volts. So if I drop it too much down to 110 or 112 or, you know, the voltage, then the SL68 is only going to be like 85 volts or something, and it starts to get a little soft and squishy then. So, yeah, I like it. Long story short, the power right about at 118, that keeps the SL68 happy with the tone and all that. So, yeah, Jonathan says, stay warm. I'm heading over there Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, it's actually not terrible. It did rain today. I just went outside right now for a second to the bus, and there was a fair amount of rain tonight that we missed because we were on stage. But I haven't seen rain over here almost the entire time I've been here in January and February. You think, oh, rainy, you know, drizzly UK in the winter. It's weird. It's like I went home to LA and that's where it rained like crazy. You know, come back here and it's all blue sky. So it's wild. The world's all crazy. Kurt Biscara. Okay, just one. 68. That's a little inside joke right there. Everybody know who Kurt Biscara is? He's in the comments. Kurt Biscara has played drums with everybody under the sun. I mean, Mick Jagger, Elton John, Rod Stewart, you name it, he's played for them. He played with Morris Day and the Time as his first gig for 5 years. He's a bad MF. Yes, he is. And he's a hilarious dude, too. And he likes good coffee. You mentioned several times touring with Don Henley and opening up with Dirty Laundry, says Van. The special solos really made the song new. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I really kind of was copying, to be honest, what Frank did before me, another guitar player that actually was in the band before me. So I took off from where he kind of, you know, what he created and stuff. And I guess they'd come up. The whole idea, because the song started the show, was it just to do a little live version of it. So there was a little lead guitar at the beginning that kind of started off when the keys kick in, and that dun, 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 you know, when the drums kick in and stuff. So anyways, that was to just kind of, you know, liven it up for live. Is it Stan? Sorry, my eyes. Or Sam, sorry. My eyes get dodgy at this hour. Contacts just aren't great after a whole day. But hello from Winnipeg, you say. Hello from Winnipeg. I'm looking for a suggestion for a type of buzz versus fuzz. I like the Octaland, looking for something more budget friendly. You're talking about an octave fuzz? My favorite octave fuzz is, I think, the Octron from Fox Rocks. They make a couple versions, Octron, Octron 2. It's an octave fuzz, but it also does a sub-octave, so you can get this massive, like, huge subby fuzz out of it. So you can get very Octavia-like sounds going, but also the sub kind of thing. And it's super cool. It's a really, really great sounding octave fuzz. So it does more than just Octavia. So check out the Octron. Where to next? We're in Nottingham tomorrow. So Robin Hood. Hope to see him. It's supposed to be a really cool town, actually. And it's Wayne, our awesome bass player. It's his hometown. And he knows where there's good rock bars. So after the gig, we're going out. I'm excited about that. That should be fun. Let's see here. Great to catch you on tour, says, I think it's L. I've got that right. Hope you're having a blast. I am having a good time. Love you and miss you, says Kurt. I miss you too, dude. Coffee when you get back, 100%. Let's do it. And lunch or beverages, whatever. Let's do it. Let's play music too. Kurt played on Pete Thorn too. Actually, he played on my favorite song on the record, which is Remember, the last song on the record. And I don't know if you remember this, Kurt, but I asked you conceptually to just do something, and there was no scratch guitar or anything. So when the drums kick in at the end of Remember, there's this really cool kind of tom figure, broken tom figure. There's no cymbals or anything. Kick, snare, toms. And then there's a solo going on, and it's very dramatic, and there's a lot of space and stuff, and then there's a big dramatic fill, and then the drums kick into a wonderful groove, and it goes into the solo, and it goes into the outro. Kurt tracked all that with me just telling him what I wanted, and charted it, I think, you know. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to be like this. I had no scratch guitar, I had nothing, and I just sort of told him what was going to happen, and then he did it in one take. And it was perfect. And that's what I tracked the whole song to, all the guitars and the bass and keys and everything else that got layered after that. I think there's some keys on there. It's hard to remember, it was a long time ago. But anyway, that's Kurt playing drums on that tune. And also on L'Avenir, which is another one of my favorite songs on the record, that's Kurt too, so he played beautifully. So, and Beckley's here too. All my friends are in the chat here. What's up, Beckley? He says he wants to have coffee as well. I know, let's do it. We like those guys. Yeah, I like all these guys too. I'm glad my friends are here. I mean, it's actually making me feel good because I'm homesick. Ian's here. He says he's a little bit late. That's okay, dude. If you're late, here's where we are. We're in this old, tiny but cool Victorian theater in CREWE, England, not far from Manchester. They're breaking all the stuff down. And the PA, the lights, and I'm lounging with you. Yeah. Who else we got here? Hi, Ben. What's up, man? Ben says, hit that like. Yes, please do. I know it was a little bit unexpected because I didn't put up a watch page for today or anything, but it was part out of lazy and part out of just been busy. I've been traveling by bus around this crazy rock in the northern Atlantic. Did you ever hear Chris doing some kind of vocal warm-up is a question? Chris Cornell, you mean? You know, he would just sing songs. So he'd grab an acoustic guitar and go in his dressing room and just work over things he was going to do in his acoustic set, because every night he did a little acoustic set with us. And you'd just hear him in there going over those things. Just he'd do 4 or 5 songs a night on acoustic guitar, and he would just kind of sing some of those and do that for 20 minutes or a half an hour. And that was it. Did you ever collaborate or jam with RJ Ronquillo? Am I saying his name right? I can't remember how to say RJ's last name. I'm sorry. Ronquillo. I hope I've got it. Oh, no, Sean Tops. I know Sean. I've never played with Sean. And RJ, I think I met RJ at NAMM, but we've never done anything together. But I'd love to do something with him. I think he's great. He makes great videos. He's a really good guitar player. Sean's a fantastic guitar player. You know, they're both great. They both do great work. And I'm sorry I butchered your name, RJ. Let's see. Have you ever done a collab with Dan and Mick? Yes, I just did that actually. I'm on that pedal show, just a recent episode from about a month ago. It's on their channel, so please check it out if you get the chance. Let's see. Darren says, hope the rest of the CRS are looking after you. Have you seen Jess's vlog? Or you're saying I've seen Jess's vlog in the Bus 61. Yeah, Jess, one of the singers, the female singer from Classic Rock Show, she does a vlog that's actually really good. She's good at it. She enjoys it. So that's on her channel. She's a terrific singer too.
Funny, there's an Eric Johnson here. Yes, that's true. There is an Eric Johnson that frequents this show and the chat and stuff. How's the finger? Finger's good because we started out real easy this time. We had a gig, day off, gig, day off, gig, day off. So this is now the next gig. So this is the fourth show of the tour after 3 and 3 days off. And we'll do 3 in a row now. We'll play tonight, tomorrow, and the next night, which should be really fun. Definitely had enough days off. Ready to keep gigging. So, where in the world is Pete San Diego today? I'm in CREWE, UK. While you're in the UK, treat yourself to some Effectrode pedals. I haven't tried those. Tremolo, Vibe, Comp, and Fuzz are outstanding. Haven't tried them. I'd like to give them a go. Today was kind of fun. There was across the street a little record fair, vinyl, you know, and there was like some food vendors in there and stuff, and it was really cool actually. And there was amazing records that I can't buy because, number one, I don't even have a turntable right now that's set up. I'd really love to get a turntable set up and get that going. But I've got 2 turntables, neither of them work. They both need cartridges. And I don't have a playback system or anything. So there's a great hi-fi store close to where I live, and I thought I'd go in there and maybe see if I could get squared away one of these days. And when I do a little bit of, I want to do a little reno at home, a little stuff, and fix up one area where I can put a turntable and you just have a nice little system where I can kind of get that going, and then it'll be fun to go buy records and stuff. But the other thing is when I'm over here, I'm like, if I buy these, how am I going to get them home? I guess I could always like ship them or something. I don't know, put them in my gear. I don't know, something. But anyways. All right, what else are you guys talking about? Let's see. Ian says he wants to buy a new USB turntable. Yeah, I've got a great, I've got the Techniques turntable. I don't have any of the other pieces, but I have the Techniques turntable that I grew up listening to records on. And it's a nice turntable. It's direct drive from like 1981 or something. A Technique's decent. I just need to, unfortunately, the kind of the cover that goes over the turntable, the plastic thing that comes down, is cracked. That happened in a move, and that sucks. But it works fine, I'm sure, if I got it serviced. And it's just kind of neat because it's like a decent turntable that I had when I was a kid, you know. So I could use that and just get a preamp and some speakers and stuff. Preamp and power amp and some speakers. But anyways, I know there's new systems out as well that are really cool and they look great and stuff and, nice aesthetically. So somebody there saying, BC Rich saying, you've got your direct drive Techniques turntable from '84. It makes a difference, right? I remember turntables back then. You could get belt drive or direct drive. I don't know anything about hi-fi, but the direct drive sounded more stable to me back then. It was like, a much cleaner, more stable than belt drive turntables, which were kind of budget. So that's about all I know about that. Well worth getting back into vinyl. Did the same about a year ago, and record fairs are the best way to build a collection. Sadly, they change way too much, or charge way too much for new records. Yeah, I don't mind though, but kind of being selective about it and going to record fairs and having fun. I mean, there was a vintage copy of Let It Be there today with the poster and everything. It was like a special copy. It was like 900 pounds or something. It's like, well over $1,000. There was Japanese pressings of Deep Purple and, really cool, original UK pressings of Led Zeppelin albums and lots of Iron Maiden and stuff like that. It was really cool. So it was neat. I was just like, I should get into this again. It's fun. Definitely, But I have a lot of my old albums still from when I was a kid. I mean, I a great Beatles collection and a lot of stuff that I bought in the early 80s that's still like pretty pristine. Some of it was in a little flood. My aunt had a flood in her basement. My records were stored in her basement for a while, but almost everything made it. Didn't get too screwed up, I don't think. So some of the LP covers got screwed up, but I actually stored all my records because I was really into it in plastic. So I had like the plastic covers, that you'd put over the jacket. So that probably saved my ass on a lot of them, because a lot of them were in plastic and didn't get wet. So I learned from the guy that got me into listening to music, really like affected the trajectory of my life, that got me into playing guitar and stuff. Was the same guy that got me into record collecting. His friend of mine, Bob, when I was a kid, and he taught me how to take care of the records. He was really, really like serious about like them being protected and not getting scratched, and proper record brushes and all that stuff. And so I just grew up like that. So, well, there's a big old super chat there. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that, Andrew. You say, I was watching some old Aussie ads from the 80s. We had a toy chain called Uncle Pete's Toys, and their slogan was Uncle Pete's Toys and Magic. Now looking at your gear videos in a new light. Maybe I should call them Uncle Pete's Toys and Magic. Let's see here. Did you manage to find that Japanese AC/DC band? No, I forgot about that. So what's that band called? Somebody put it in the comments on the video, not in the chat, but in the comments. If somebody can, that knows, we were talking about a Japanese AC/DC cover band. I'd love to see. I suppose I could just Google it, like best Japanese AC/DC cover band would probably come up. But we were talking about that last week, and I would love to see that. Check it out. What else we got here? Oh, you guys are talking about Macintosh tube receivers and stuff. That's Richard. For those that don't know, if you go to LA, there's this amazing record bar that I love to go to, and it's called the Gold Line. So this is a little tip. It's in Highland Park, and they have thousands of records behind the bar, and it's like a Japanese style record bar. So in Tokyo, there's a lot of these where you'll go in and the whole behind the bar is just albums, and there'll be an amazing system with great speakers and a turntable, and usually the bartender often is the DJ, which is awesome. So play a record and then make you drink. And these places many times are smaller, but really cool, and never too loud or anything. It's always like really cool. Now, there's a lot of ones that are kind of themed. They'll play all soul, or they'll play old rock, or and I just love it. It's like vinyl record bars where you can go sit and have a drink and listen to great records through a great system. So there's one in LA that's called the Gold Line, and it's a little bit Americanized in that they have DJs, and it's a little louder in there than most of the ones I experienced in Japan. But it's really cool, and they have why I was telling you this is because they have a great Macintosh system, preamps and amplifiers and stuff. So it sounds amazing. It's in Highland Park. It's a great hang. It's just a nice bar to go have a drink in. It's a really good vibe. So that's a little tip. The Gold Line in Highland Park is one of my favorite places. So Andrew says the band is ADCD. Okay, cool. I got to check that out. This cough of mine that I had forever has morphed into a dry cough, which is troubling because now I'm going to get on the bus and have to deal with bus air and have this stupid dry cough going. So I hope it goes away soon. But anyways, I'm not sick anymore, but it's just kind of dumb. Question there, what do I think about seated venues as opposed to, standing room? Most of the places we play are like this, like theaters, the seats. Everybody gets up after a while. The crowd is, generally speaking, older for this show. So I love, general admission and places that have, or, a big open area in the front where it's not seated. I love that. probably wouldn't really work for this show for the whole thing because there's a lot of older folks that come see us. And it's amazing because here in England, at least, I mean, I know it's probably like this in America too, but here in England, at least, like these folks come out and they are old, they're in their 60s, they're sometimes in their 70s, and they want to rock. Like they totally love AC/DC. They totally love The Who. They totally love Led Zeppelin. And they're like singing all the words, and there's people in their 70s sometimes because that's just where we're at with where this music is. And these people were kids when it came out, and they love it. But so you got to provide for, you know, that's just kind of the reality of it. And it's been really interesting for me. I love seeing people of that age actually totally rocking out. It's so awesome. It's like, it's not something I expected when I started touring with these guys to see because I just didn't think about it. And then when I saw it, I was like, this is amazing. Like, these people look like, because, you know, it's like my friend Brian Ray said in a Paul McCartney concert movie when they were interviewing him, and they were talking about, you know, their first reactions with touring with Paul, because this was way back 20 years ago. And he said, when you look at the crowd, it's like older folks sometimes, and it's like they get younger. You can see them visibly get younger when they're playing. And that is what it's like. It's like so cool. To see, you know, older people totally rocking out, and they're just like having so much fun. And then afterwards they'll come up and talk to you and go like, this is the most fun we've had like all year. This is so amazing, especially after lockdown and all that. They have such a cool time, you know, and they're just like so stoked. They're like kids. It's cool. It's a really, really, really cool thing about doing this gig that I don't take for granted. I really like it because I'm getting older too, and it's like, you know, we love this music, and it's like there's no reason to stay home and just, you know, it's really neat that they come out and see a show and have fun. And with all that said, this is another long-winded, I'm always long-winded, aren't I? But I'm getting around to the point that you can't expect people to stand for 3 hours if they're, you know, above 50 or 60 or 70 years old, you know? So it actually kind of works, these seated venues, because everybody ends up on their feet by the second half of the second set. You know, the whole last 45 minutes, everybody's like rocking out. Because we sort of engineer the set that way, to just be like, you know, super fun and high energy towards the end. But so with that said, I love playing standing room kind of places and festivals, and you know, when you're playing for younger crowds and stuff, you can do that. It doesn't matter; people will stand all day, you know. So. Simon's asking if I'm playing in Birmingham. You know, we started the tour in Birmingham. It was like the third gig or something like that. We did 2 gigs at Birmingham Town Hall. So, anyways, yeah. What else are you guys talking about? What console are you guys running at front of house? I don't know what Andy's using, and he packed it up already. I think it's gone. Yeah, the console's gone. So
I'll see you tomorrow, Carl.
I will go back and just look, but he's done with it. So Andy's up there. I can just yell at him. Hey, Andy, what kind of console are you using on this tour?
CL5, Yamaha.
A Yamaha. Okay, Yamaha CL5. He says. Thank you. CL5 Yamaha. That's his machine. Heading down to the bottom of the chat. I saw Judas Priest ages ago, and the guy in front of me didn't want to be there and never stood up. It was great. Ian says. That's a bummer, though. I'd love to see Judas Priest again these days. See what they're like. Our bass player is really good friends with Andy Sneap, and I think he's coming tomorrow, actually. Is tomorrow the show? I think so. Andy plays with Priest and, of course, produced a couple of the records and stuff. And I'm excited to meet him, actually. So I think it's tomorrow that he's coming. It should be cool. Do you know anything about Eddie Van Halen using amp slaving, says Derek. You know, only that by 84 he was slaving. He started, you know, slaving into a HH power amp stereo rig, and running post effects and stuff like that around 84 for that tour. Anything before that, I think, is all hearsay. He could have tried it, but Rudy Laren and, you know, other people say he was always just running effects in front and stuff, and there was no slaving going on before that. So it's possible he tried it. He talked about kind of using something that looked like a stick of dynamite on the back of an amplifier, load resistor. But he could have been running that just in parallel to suck down the power and get less volume, you know? Maybe he was doing that. Who knows? Rudy said, no, we always ran the effects all in front and everything. And that's to Dave Friedman, direct from, you know, the horse's mouth, from his tech back then, from 76 or 7 or something, probably, right? Through like 84, so. John, with a super chat there, says, are you doing any preset switching via MIDI? Yeah, I am, actually. If so, are you using a MIDI splitter box, and which one? It's called MIDI Solutions, I think. My MIDI splitter box. MIDI Solutions, I think. You could ask Dave Friedman that question, but it's a 4-out kind of splitter, you know. I can't remember how the MIDI's run on my board exactly, but it comes out of my switcher and then it goes out of my switcher and then goes to the MIDI Solutions box and splits out to my Mobius, my H90, my Timeline, and then there's a MIDI output, and I'm running that out to, excuse me, the Boss TAE. I keep burping, sorry. Yeah. I'm in MIDI hell at the moment, you say. Ask Dave for help, you know, hit him up on Tone Talk or something, or just email him at racksystems@yahoo.com, and he'll help you with your MIDI issues. He's good like that. He's your man. Because it can be confusing, I know, I get it. Oh, what else have we got going here? Who else is out there? Hey, from Boston, says Surfer B. Did you ever see Van Halen before they did the first record? No, I would have been like a little kid back then. The first time I saw them was the '84 tour. So, and I was about 13 or something like that, which was awesome. But I did move to LA in '90, and I met a lot of people at that point that knew Van Halen from parties and saw them. And I used to work at a music store for a little while in Montebello, California, and there was a lot of that's San Gabriel Valley, so it's not at all far from Pasadena, really. And a lot of guys that used to come in and buy strings would be like, I saw Van Halen, man, back in 1976 at my friend's party. You know, I met a lot of people. When you think about it, that was 1991 or 2. So it wasn't that long after 1977, you know. It was like 14, 15 years after that time period. And a lot of those guys that used to come in the shop, so they would have been like, you know, now they're in their 30s or whatever, and they would have been in their teenagers, you know. And yeah, and also Frank Symes, the guy that he's kind of a mentor of mine and a great guitar player and stuff. And I mentioned him earlier that he used to play with Hanley and stuff, and then I kind of took over for him in Don's band years later. He used to be in a band called the Whiz Kids, and he used to play with Van Halen. Whiz Kids was more like a glam kind of, you know, Bowie, T-Rex, you know. They were like that kind of trip. And Van Halen was more like, you know, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, but they'd also, you know, do Casey and the Sunshine Band or something, you know, tunes that they'd cover all kinds of stuff. And they both used to play at Gazzarri's. And there was evidently 2 stages or something in Gazzarri's, and they both used to alternate and do different sets. So Frank told me lots of stories about playing. He's like, yeah, we used to play with Van Halen all the time. They'd do a set, we'd do a set, they'd do a set, we'd do a set. And he was like, it was very competitive, but we were all friends. And, you know, and he was like, we used to get all the girls because we were all dressed up like glam, you know, and stuff. And then they'd be like, let's get up there and kick their ass and get it. So he actually borrowed Eddie's amp one night when his amp blew up. And he told me stories about, you know, drinking beers or malt liquor in the back alley behind those clubs, you know, Gazzarri's or the whiskey or whatever with Eddie, because he'd show up with an Adidas bag full of Schlitz. That's how they rolled. They brought their own booze. And the drummer in that, so I was in a band with this guy, Frank, and he told me all these stories. And the drummer in that band was a guy named Jimmy Volpe, and he used to play in a band called Smile. And Smile was another band that used to play with Van Halen all the time. And he told me lots of Van Halen stories too, you know. All these bands were all coming up at the 76, 77, you know, at the same time. The Whiz Kids, Smile, Van Halen. And Jimmy said that he told me a really funny story about right after they got signed. He said that Dave used to drive a Volvo station wagon or something like that, and he said that it was a piece of crap, and it was just a beat up old car. And he says he remembered like they'd got signed and they were starting to go places and playing headlining shows of whiskey, but he still had this car. And he said he remembers him, after a gig one night or whatever, loading out or whatever, and then driving around from the parking lot around the corner of the whiskey and coming around the corner and banging on the door and yelling out the window, "Wait till you get a record deal like us and you get a nice car like this." And he's like driving by, banging the door, and it was this piece of crap, like Volvo that he used to drive or whatever. So I always remember that one too, but funny stories from back then. So is it Mike, I think, says he saw Van Halen in '79. That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, man, I wish I'd seen them 79, 78, or 80 on the Invasion tour. That'd be amazing. But, I saw them in '84, and that was pretty special. It's a great memory. So, hi all from Ireland. What's up there, man? How you doing? Great memories there. Great stuff. Any standout moments on this tour in the UK? You know what? Tonight was great, man. You never know. Playing this little place in here. I'll show you around the room a little bit more. We got in here and it was basically sold out. So it's like, you get 2 decks up there and up here and this. And so I think it's about 600 if it's crammed full. And it's a Sunday night, and we're in this town called CREWE. And it's like, what's this going to be like? We'd never played here before. And it went off in here tonight, man. It was great. It was so much fun. The people were really into it. There was a lot of different kind of like ages of people here. And it was just a really good night. And so you never know. So tonight was like, it's kind of like, yeah, that's one of the best shows of the tour, I think, in this place, and it was really fun. So there's a super chat there. I got to grab that. Let's see. Charlie says he was at Madison Square Garden when Van Halen opened for Sabbath. That's awesome. I've met a few people on this tour that said that they saw Van Halen opening for Sabbath in '78. And because, they did a whole UK run. And so, there's a lot of people that saw that show, and they all tell kind of a very similar story about how, oops, sorry. I lost you guys there for a second, sorry. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, so Van Halen 78. They all say that Van Halen blew Sabbath off the stage, and that it was really amazing. Who's that super chat there? There's Peter. Hi, Peter. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for jumping on. How much longer does the tour go? And videos this week. Happy Sunday. Thanks, Peter. I've still got a video to edit this week for the Black Star Amped 2, which is a pedal amp that's 100 watts that has amp sounds as well as some effects built in. So I got to get that edited now. So that'll happen this week. I'll get that done for sure. It's only Sunday, so by Wednesday or something, I'd love to have that out. I'll just do that backstage and stuff and get it done like on downtime over the next few days. Sorry, I'm burping. And what was your other question? How much longer does the tour go? Till the 22nd. I go home around the 22nd. So really looking forward to going home, but I'm also having a great time. So tonight was really fun. Super fun. Let's see. It seems like Sabbath was probably pretty well into drugs and booze by '78. Yeah, I think they were getting a little it was a little bit of a tough period for Sabbath. It's right before Ozzy left and went and did his solo career, and right before they got Dio, which obviously sort of revitalized Sabbath, and maybe the solo career also revitalized Ozzy, and they needed that. And leading into that was maybe Van Halen kind of kicking their ass a little bit on the '78 tour. But Eddie and Tony became great friends. They were lifelong friends, so that came out of it, I guess, and lots of great stories. What's your take on the new Extreme song "Rise"? Says Steven. Everybody's telling me to listen to it. I haven't heard it yet. Honestly, I just haven't listened to it, but I will. I'll give it a listen because I've had a lot of people say it's really good. You got to check it out. So, yeah. Oh, well, let's see. We've been going about 40 minutes. I'll try and go about another 15 or something like that, and then I should probably get out of here. Once I see the cases disappearing up there, I know it's time to go to the bus, because once the truck's loaded, and I got to get my suitcase from upstairs and get it out of here and stuff. Otherwise, I'll get left behind. We don't want that. I had fun here, but I want to move on to the next city. Let's see, Kiss in 79 versus Van Halen, no contest. And I love 70s Kiss. It says my knees hurt. Yeah, Kiss in 79 was also probably going through a little bit of a transitional, period. It was like a tough time, I would say, right? And Van Halen were like new kids on the block. And they put the smack down on everybody in a big rock and roll way. Somebody's looking for Vincent. Hey, Vincent, what's up? Any recommendations for a nice yet affordable bass for some basic recording? When I was looking for a nice affordable bass, I went and bought a P bass that was made in Mexico from Guitar Center. I just went down and said, what do you guys got for like $400? Nowadays that's probably the classic series, or whatever they call it. What do they call the ones that they make in China, or the classic vibe series, I think. But it's probably, to be honest, like just as good, if not better, instrument than what I bought, the made in Mexico one I bought around 2000. I remember I used to borrow basses all the time. I never had a bass guitar, and then I would borrow them to do songs or demos or whatever at home. And one day I was like, I'd written something and I wanted to track, and I was like, this sucks, I can't keep doing this. So I just ran down the hill. I was living in Hollywood, and I ran down the hill to Guitar Center and just bought whatever. I bought this natural finish P bass that I ended up using for the next however many years. And I kind of realized it actually kind of sounded like crap. I could never really get a good bass sound. I was thought, well, it's a P bass. It's just a pickup and 4 strings. How hard can it be? It sounds like it's supposed to. And it can't be the bass that sounds bad. And then once I replaced it and got something else 10 years later, it was like, oh, it's been the bass all along. That sort of sucks. But anyways, let's see here. What are you guys talking about? What other kind of stuff are you talking about? Anyways, go to a store and try like 10 of them and see which one sounds the best. But I would just get something from Fender and probably a P, because P basses to me are like the Chevy truck of basses. They're just basic and basic, no pun intended. Glenn says that his first concert was Alice Cooper on the School's Out tour. That's pretty cool, with Dr. John and Night Tripper as the opening act. Wow, 1971. That's cool, dude. That's pretty cool. I was born in 71, so you're older than me, my friend, but more wise, I'm sure. Yeah. I saw Kiss headline Download last year, my first time seeing them. It's so cool to see Kiss, I saw Kiss right before lockdown. I remember one of Paul, it was so close to lockdown and COVID that Paul worked it into his rap right before Dr. Love. He said, like, everybody says there's a sickness going around. An illness, a sickness. Better call the doctor. Dr. Love. And then they went into that. Well, 2 days later, that was it. The Kiss tour was done, like everything else, and everybody was on hold for the next year and a half. Any experiences, Modern Vintage, there with the super chat, on John and Dave's feedback on Karsten's amps. Thoughts on when an Axe Effects is best versus Quad Cortex after using a QC so much. It's all up to you on the modelers, because I always say it's like a Lexus versus an Infiniti versus a, whatever, like a BMW versus a Mercedes. They all get the job done. They all do a really nice job. They've all got a buttload of features, and they do great things. I would say the thing about the Quad that sets it apart and makes it a bit more like a Kemper is that you can do the captures. So if you have your own amps you want to do captures of, that's a little different. The Axe Effects is a whole ecosystem, and it's very some people are very used to it, you know, and they get into it, and it's like they're very, you know, you get religious about it. It's like, and they sound great. I mean, this Axe Effects is being used on this tour by James as well as by Jesse. Jesse's using the FM3 for his whole guitar sound. He's one of the singers, but he plays guitar on quite a few songs, acoustic and electric. And he uses just the FM3 for both of those instruments. And then James is using, and it sounds really good, I have to say, a Axe 3 in 4-cable method with a Boss TAE loading down his, is it 633 custom kind of JTM 45 style amp. So he runs some effects in front of the amp via the Axe. He runs some in the loop of the Boss TAE. So 4-cable, it's kind of sophisticated, sounds really good. So he's not using any of the amp sounds out of the Axe, but he's doing effects both pre and post with it. Works really good for that. So it just depends what you're doing, you know. What was your other question? I completely forget. Oh, brother, I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, personal experience on Karstens. Karstens are cool. I tried one at Joe Barizi's studio a little while ago. And that got me hooked up with him, and he wants me to make a video for his sort of Billy Corgan signature amp, but the 20-watt version. So I'm going to do that when I get back. So watch this space for a video on the Karstens amps coming up a little bit down the road. In a few weeks, once I get back to LA, I've got it sitting there, and it sounded really cool. Kind of like reminded me of modern, little SLO-ish or something like that when I heard it at Joe's place. So, Kiss is going on tour this year. They're always going on tour eternally, it seems like. Kiss will never end. Oh, wow, your first concert, says Arthur, was Kiss with Wendy O. Williams in '83. Man, Wendy O. Williams, she was wild. I'd never seen anything like that when I was a little boy. I was like, oh, what is that all about? You know what I'm talking about. She was wild, but it was cool. Oh, yeah. Ebarge says he agrees to being addicted to the Axe Effects himself. What else are we talking about here? I don't know, man. Seeing these old guys in spandex and Depends. Dude, that's the wrong bulge. Oh, come on now. We still got to rock. It may not be pretty, but we're not going to go out, we're going to go out kicking. We're going to go down kicking and screaming. It's just how it is with rockers. All right. BMW are a different class. BMW and Mercedes are a different class. Would you say BMW and Mercedes are a different class than Lexus? They're kind of the same money. I know what you're talking about, but that's just being a German car snob, kind of. I'm a bit of a BMW snob. I only drove BMWs for years. But I think there's great things about some other brands. What can I say? I don't know. For example, they don't have the electrical problems that BMW has. Lexus, I'm talking about. I went to see a concert, but no one there for me to see Tour of the USA. Who's that? Oh, I want to see a concert. That's Mike. I'm 48 minutes in, and I feel myself fading. Plus, I got to get out of here pretty soon. So another 5 minutes or so, and I'm going to split, and that'll be Sunday Live for this week, but it was fun. Did you see Miles Goodwin's last show, says Scott? Is that from Miles from April Wine? I'm a good Canadian. I remember Miles. That'd be, is he retiring? He's done? He's done with it? Well, we wish him well. Son of the Gypsy Queen. Or ding 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 doo 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 doo. This Flight Tonight, is that what that was called? Or no, that's Nazareth. What's the song I'm thinking of? Everybody be alright. Come on, I'll beat me up till the sun comes up. Oh man, I'm trying to remember. Come on, Ben, help me out here with my Canadian rock. What's the other April Wine? Just between you and me. I like to rock, of course. That was another great one. I'm just tired. Don't mind me. Don't listen to me. We're talking about Canadian rock and roll now. Okay. Miles is retiring. Ooh at, what's it called? Ooh at Night? Is that really what it's called? Ooh at Night? I never knew that. I guess I'm not that great of a. I went to see April Wine in like '83. That was one of my first concerts too. I still have photos of it somewhere. Like I remember, I've got a developed roll of pictures, and I've got pictures of April Wine with the sign in the background and stuff. And I was probably like 12. Yeah, Sign of the Gypsy Queen. Matthew Good. That's it. Well, he's like '90s rock. I mean, it's classic rock now. You're right. Pat Travers with Tommy Aldridge. Wow, you guys are talking about all the old stuff. I love it. Aldo Nova is getting ready to go on tour. Want to hear my Aldo Nova story? When I moved to LA, I lived at the Oakwood for a while, which everybody lived at the Oakwood. Nirvana lived at the Oakwood when they made Nevermind. When I was living there, Vito from White Lion was living there, I remember. I was 19, and then I remember Ray Gillen was staying there, Badlands. This was like a corporate apartment kind of place where you could go and get a furnished apartment or whatever, and get a place for a couple months while you were making a record in LA or whatever. Well, I lived there for 6 months, and what was my point about the Oakwood? Oh yeah, Aldo Nova was there. That's right. And I remember going down by the swimming pool and hanging with Aldo Nova. I was 19. Going to MI, it was my first 6 months in LA, and this dude was there. And I'm like, and I struck up a conversation with him. We used to see each other, and I'd go down to the swimming pool and hang out with Aldo Nova, 19 years old, right? And he was like kind of, I don't want to say he was grumpy, but he was like, yeah, man, this business. He was just a little like disgruntled at that point with rock. He was like, I don't know, man, one more kick at the can. Let's see what happens, Like, I'm gonna go for it and make this record, and we'll see. I don't know, like he was like kind of talking like he was like tired of it all. That was 1990, and he's going out on tour now. So there you go. See how it is. Dude was probably like 38 years old then or something. 35. Now he's, and I thought of him like, oh man, he's seasoned rocker from the, John says he saw April Wine in Chilliwack, not with Chilliwack, the band, but in Chilliwack, the town. That's pretty cool. I love that often the discussions here turn to Canadian rock. Modern Vintage with the super chat there says, which model Karsten's amp were you speaking of? Can you discuss your thoughts on it briefly? I can't yet because I've got one to review or to, make a video of. It's a 20-watt version of the Billy Corgan amp, I think. Single channel, kind of modern high gain affair. With that cool kind of rounded amp shell that he makes. So I've got that to work with when I get back to LA, but I haven't played through it yet. And I only heard the higher power version of that amp when I was back for a week. No. It was before I left on tour. Sorry. But at Joe Barisi's studio when we were listening to, I went over. I'm old friends with Joe Barisi, who's an amazing, producer, engineer, mixer. Did Fu Manchu and Queens of the Stone Age and all kinds of good Soundgarden and tons of stuff. So we've recently been hanging out a little bit and talking. He's I love that guy. But he's great with guitar sounds, and he's a total nut about guitar sounds. He's got an amazing amp collection. So one of the amps he had was the Karsten's amp, and he plugged it in while I was there. We listened to a few different amps, and I just listened to it for a minute. I was like, that's cool. It was very fat sounding, I thought, and modern and kind of big, not like a Marshall. It sounded like a big, which made sense because it's a Billy Corgan signature thing. And when I think of Billy, I think of big muffs and big fat, So, anyways. You guys, I think I better split because they're getting close to being totally done here, and that means I got to go upstairs and close up the suitcase and stuff and get on the bus. So I think I better split. But this was fun. I'm glad this worked out. I got a little internet here in the venue, and you guys got to see this place. There's a Braxall question about the Boss was a tube expander. Was the variable reactive load putting strain on your power transformer amp? Okay, so straight up, Braxall, here's the thing. The two switches that switch up the load on the Waza, I'm using it on this tour, so I obviously like it, right? But the two switches that switch up the loads, the high rise and the low resonant peak, you have to be careful with the low resonant peak. It's the furthest knob to the left if you're looking at the front panel. and I run it all the way down. And if you run it in the next position or the next or the next, you're gradually kind of unloading the low end of the amplifier is what's happening. And although it might sound good to you, it's somewhat risky. And that's just the fact of the matter. You know, not making any kind of anything about it, you know. You just, on a true impedance curve of an amp, kind of from 20 ohms on up to, say, 100 ohms or something like that, there's this resonant peak that happens, and then it comes down and goes like this. You don't even need to know what that means other than it looks like this on a graph when it's a true speaker. And boom, there's a resonant peak, and then the high rise, and that's it, right? The Boss, what it does is, like a shelf of the impedance, boom, boom, boom. So instead of starting down around 20 ohms and then going like this, it just goes like this. Rise up, the next setting, rise up further, the next setting, rise up further. So if you've got that switch in the all the way to the right position, let's say, which will give you the most resonance and the most sort of bass from that, what's happening is you're kind of unloading the amplifier below a certain point and down around like 40, 50, 60 hertz, down to 20 hertz, it's unloaded. It's up around 200 ohms. I don't understand it because I'm not an amp tech, but I've seen the graph and it's been explained to me. And basically what's happening there, John Sir will tell you, it's like your amp has blue balls. He's got nowhere to go. All pent up, nowhere to go. And then, you know, you start to see things like potential tube failures if you're lucky, or a blown fuse if you're lucky. That's it. All the way to maybe you fry something that's a little more, you know. So, yeah, that's the straight skinny. This thing's been out for years. I'm tired of, you know, not saying exactly what's going on with it. That's what's going on with it. With certain amps, depending on the design of their output transformer and stuff, you may have no problems. It might work perfectly fine. You can run it however you want. With other amps that run on the hairy edge of an output transformer that's, you know, and that's plexis and certain old amplifiers that are already kind of unstable, you don't want to do that. So anyways, I'm using the SL68 with it. I run that switch all the way down. And if you run that switch all the way down, you've essentially got a 20 ohm load down there. It's like having a 20 ohm load resistor. Run the amp not on 10, just kind of, you're fine. I'm not saying you're fine, but you're fine. Don't quote me on that, but you're fine. So, and then if you want more resonance or more bass, just get it out of the EQ, because the thing has a built-in graphic EQ. So I will just say, like, a load is not a way to tune the tone of your amplifier. That's what I think. You want the load to look, you want the amp to think it's plugged into a speaker cabinet, right? The load that the cabinet puts on the amplifier, you want that to be what the amp sees. You don't want to start messing with the load and, oh, I like the sound better when I do this to the load. Well, just your amp wants to see the type of load that it gets when it's plugged into a speaker cabinet. That makes sense to me, you know, from a, and if you mess with that, you could potentially mess with the health of your tubes, certain parts in your amplifier, all the way up to the output transformer and things like that. You don't want to do that. So that's just my opinion. I use the thing. I've got it out here on tour. It's not that I don't like it. There's really great features about it. You know, I'm using it every night. I just don't recommend turning up that resonant thing as a way to tune the sound of the amp to get more bass, or, well, it feels better. It's got more, it sounds great the way I'm using it with it all the way down. So, you know, it's all good. So I can't give it, you know, more of an endorsement than that. I've used it for, you know, I'm going to use it for 40 shows on this tour. I just wouldn't recommend running it in a way that has been, you know, it's been advised to me that it could potentially be not safe. So, okay, guys, I'm going to split. This was awesome. I really appreciate you guys showing up. I'm sorry I didn't kind of give you more heads up or whatever, but it was fun anyway, and hopefully people will watch it after the fact. Please hit the thumbs up, the like button, the share button, leave comments, do whatever you want. Help spread it all over the worldwide interwebs. And next week, oops, sorry, lost you, damn it. Let me get back to, man. If I hit the wrong thing on here, you guys go away and then I don't see you and it gets all screwed up. But anyways, hopefully that didn't pause or anything. Next week, I don't know where I'll be, but I'll check it out and I'll post it on Facebook or post it in the YouTube posts kind of section or whatever to let you know. I think next week might be a day off on Sunday. I'm not 100% sure about that, and then after that, I'm pretty close to getting back to heading home. I might have 2 more of these over here in the UK, and then I'll be home and start doing it again at the regular place. But anyways, I appreciate all you guys being here and stuff. Thanks for all your great comments and questions and stuff. It was really fun, and thanks for your super chats. I love y'all. All right, take care, everybody.